Welcome to the Turn One Studio podcast. I'm Eliud Custodio with Turn One Studio, and here we interview people that we know and admire. Today's guest is Teresa Garzon from isolved. Welcome.
Thank you, Eliud. Thank you for having me.
So, what is isolved?
isolved is an employee-first payroll and HR company.
Okay.
And we automate the employee life cycle from hire to retire. So we can help in all things from recruiting to HR and payroll at the core.
Okay. So there's a lot to unpack here.
Yes.
So obviously you work with businesses. Range size.
1 to 10,000 plus.
Really? So you
employees.
can work with a one-person company?
Absolutely.
All right. So with a one-person company, what are typical services that they rely on you for?
So usually with the startup businesses, we'll get their taxes registered for the states that they're in, one person, one state, if
Okay.
they did have some remote employees.
Payroll taxes.
Payroll taxes for the state. So we're a complete tax service. And then usually they're doing just payroll because it's just them. But if they needed time and attendance or any other things, payroll-related engagement or performance reviews, as they grow, our system can grow with them.
Oh, that's awesome. So if they use contractors or 1099 personnel, can they utilize your system with this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And those sole proprietors, maybe they are contracting and have a couple of 1099s, we could handle that as well and prepare the year end for them with the 1099s.
Okay, very cool.
Good question.
Do you, thank you. Do you offer any benefits? Is that part of the offering?
So we are a fully compliant payroll service. So we do offer some ancillary flexible spending accounts,
Okay.
COBRA compliance, if someone needs to go on leave, that kind of compliance. But the benefits, we leave it to the professionals in insurance. So we partner with them.
Okay, so no medical, dental.
No.
Okay,
No.
but you integrate with them.
We do. So we have all the services integrated, but we want to partner with local, insurance agents and, the professionals that are doing like the 401k plans, things
Right.
like that.
Very cool. So I guess as a business owner, I can count on when I have staff that I'm paying through your system, their taxes going to state and federal, that's all handled by you.
Absolutely.
So as a business owner, I don't need to figure out what that looks like?
Not anymore.
Okay.
We'll take care of that. And especially people are coming to us right now because they have all these remote employees in different states. So their current payroll accounts, maybe they're not compliant with that. So we could handle all that compliance for multi-state and multi-tax ID.
Okay. And the employee as an individual, their tax responsibility is based on where they live, not where they work.
It's where they're living and working. So we're going to take those both into consideration. And our
Okay.
system is it's so simple to use. So before their first day, it's going to look at where they're living, where they're working, and correctly give them the right forms to fill out so that the employer doesn't have that liability or responsibility.
What happens if someone comes to you, decides, all right, this is perfect, let's get started, and you realize that retroactively their system's a disaster? Is that something you could help clean up for them? Is that, maybe I'm asking a naive question, but if they've been filing incorrectly in the past,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
yeah, how do you guys
So-
deal with that?
So we assume all the financial responsibility for their timeliness and accuracy of their payroll filings from when they get started. Usually, if there is something before we get started, we could work with the CPA about it, but we wouldn't file those taxes retroactively.
Okay.
We could just, from the day we start, we're going to make sure it's compliant going forward.
Okay.
But that's a good question.
Okay, cool.
We also do a lot of HR too, so that's a big topic that some other payroll companies can't do just HR alone, and we
Okay.
can. So if someone just needs an employee handbook to stay in compliance, after COVID, there's so many different laws that came into effect. Every month there's something different. Every state has something different. So really outsourcing that, responsibility to us to make a custom handbook. Maybe they want to put in policies that they not sure, can I really put this in the handbook?
Right.
And we'll advise them and create that custom handbook. So just helped a company here on Long Island with about 300 employees, and they were in 4 different states, and they just needed that handbook for California, for New York.
Well, speaking of that, in New York, is there a minimum number of employees that you have to have where you're required to supply a handbook? Is that one?
I mean, I think it's the one.
Okay.
But
The minute you have a W-2, you need a handbook.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's about like 10 different laws just for one employee. So
Okay.
that's why having an HR professional to really comb through, make sure that they are staying compliant, with all those different, rules and regulations to outsource something like that, they didn't even have to move their payroll. They could just, use us as a resource for their HR team.
Very cool. Is isolved the type of company where my staff is technically on paper your employee?
No, so that's a PEO. So
Okay.
we have about 300 other network partners, we call them, that they could be a PEO that use the iSolve technology to keep them in compliance.
Okay.
So they use our tax engine, our software, but we are not a PEO. So we don't. It goes all under the employer's tax ID.
Okay. So and a PEO is not a payroll company.
So they usually handle the payroll, the HR, and the benefits.
Okay.
So we're automating everything, but like I said, we want to partner with, that local resource for the employee benefits, handle all the compliance, the flexible spending accounts, the transit dependent care, FSA, HSA, HRA. We'll do all that administration.
Okay.
But we want to partner locally.
Very cool. Utilizing your HR services. If I have a staff member that needs to be terminated, do I work with you to do that in the most compliant way?
Yeah, so we can. I don't think we're gonna fire the employee for you,
Sure.
but we're gonna coach you, and maybe if you want us to sit on that meeting.
So
too.
those are services that are in
You would
this.
have a dedicated HR business partner assigned
Okay.
to you. They only have about 30 clients per HR representative. They have over 8 years experience in SHRM certified field. So that is an extension of your team.
Yeah.
They help also proactively, just keeping on top of any new laws updates. Making sure they're making the change in the handbook, they're tactical in the system, they're strategic with you and your team. So it could just be the owner or maybe the HR representative that just needs a little bit extra, help with
Yeah.
HR.
How'd you get involved with this?
So I actually went to school for accounting, so I have my
Okay.
accounting certificate. I did bookkeeping and payroll services for about 12 years,
Okay.
and I fell into like a sales role for like a little minute, and I liked the sales, but I wanted to still continue with more of that accounting, bookkeeping, payroll. So I merged the two, and I'm in payroll sales.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of business from CPAs?
Yes, actually, we work with a lot of large CPA firms,
Okay.
small firms. We are a resource for them for that tax compliance that they need, and also, the HR for their clients as well.
So tax compliance. I was going to ask you as a follow-up question, if any accountants are watching, what do they need to know to think of reaching out to you? Is it just tax compliance or?
Well, it could be a mixture of, maybe the business has maybe multiple states. That's where we really
Okay.
excel. So if anyone is branching out, to handle that multi-state tax compliance, we could be a great resource. And then also maybe they have questions about HR. That could be something that we can partner with CPA for the HR outsourcing.
Okay. And I know a lot of what you're talking about is the iSolved platform. So what other aspects of the platform should we be aware of? I know it's very robust.
Yeah, so it's very robust. Well, we could start at recruiting. So
Okay.
we even have a full team of recruiters that
Oh.
can do headhunting for the organization. And again, that is a standalone offering where they can use that service for just the recruiting piece, or they could leverage the technology that posts out to about 6,000 job boards.
But they're a legit headhunter service.
Yes, yeah.
Get out. Okay.
Yes, they are. So we could do that. Just recruiting, that's a big topic right now. You want to make sure you hire correctly. You could use, our HR team to help you, our recruiters to help you, because the cost of losing an employee, according to SHRM, could be about 50 to 200% of their salary.
Right. I've
So,
heard that.
we don't want to lose the employees. We want to hire right and retain them. So through the technology, we could post out to the job boards, use AI and recruiting, make sure that you have those top candidates in your, the front of your book so you could interview them. And also do personality assessments, leverage that, or pre-hire assessments and wedge interviewing. So before you even take that phone call with them, you have a real visual of the potential new hire and see if you have a feel for them if you want to take that, first call interview. And then we can go into electronic onboarding. We could also do, like I said, performance reviews, the trainings. We have 90,000 courses available to our clients for training,
Wow.
state specific.
Is that proprietary to isolved?
So we have a partner for the content,
Okay.
and we also have the ability for the client to upload their own content. So if there is something that they created for, maybe some trainings that they really wanted to make
Yeah.
sure all the employees are on board for, maybe even before their first day, they can upload it to our system, create quizzes around it, so there's a lot of great tools in the technology piece, but it's not just the technology, it's having the person behind it,
Sure.
the recruiting department, the HR department, and your payroll representative. We really pride ourselves on that dedicated service where every client gets their dedicated payroll representative. And when they call in, it's 22 seconds to get them on the phone. So we're really, really proud of that. Yeah.
You should be proud of that. 22
Yeah.
seconds is a big deal.
I mean, if you call me, it's even quicker. But
Okay.
I'm not processing payroll, but I'm a resource for my clients and partners.
Nice. Well, I see all the perks for the company, the owner and the staff. Walk me through the benefits or the experience for the employee.
So actually, we are so focused in our technology.
Okay.
We call it the people first technology. So we really are thinking of those employees at the core, making it simple for them, making them more productive. So whether it's enrolling in their benefits, right from their phone, this technology, isolved, is available in any language,
Okay, that's
any
cool.
device. So yeah, before their first day, they have a really great feel about what that company is about. Like if that first impression, that first application, it's a great experience for that potential candidate. It's really just going to carry through. We also prioritize giving and volunteering. We even
Okay.
have a module included in our technology for, there's 2 million not-for-profits already on there. So the employer can promote, philanthropy, volunteerism as part of the culture of the organization and match donations or set up a volunteer day.
That's
so
cool.
I really love that part too.
And that's baked into the system.
Yeah, so it's basically we'll design the technology to meet the client's needs. So they're not paying for anything they're not using. So if that
Okay.
is interest to a company to really help engage the employees and retain them through philanthropy and social giving,
Yeah,
that's something that we can definitely turn on.
that's cool. That's a popular feature, an important feature for a lot of
Yes.
companies. You mentioned AI for the recruiting and I guess the culling of applicants. Is there any piece of advice or any pearls of wisdom that you can share for the applicant as far as structuring their resume or cover letter or something in a way that they don't get prematurely bumped out of the running because AI is filtering in and not a human being? I've heard from people that are trying to find jobs that's been a challenge for them.
Yeah, so I can't go into all the details about our AI.
Sure.
But it is looking at like what's the perfect match for the job description. So it's really starting out at the job description.
Okay.
If their resume is really meeting the needs of that required job. So it's bringing them out as a top match percentage. But we still need the people behind it. It's not just AI.
Right. So if I'm applying for a job, then what I'm getting from this is the piece of advice would be to make sure I tailor my resume and my cover letter to the job description.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
That also keeps people from a shotgun approach of just applying anywhere and seeing where they hear back.
Yeah. We also use AI throughout the platform too. It's overlaying. So that is really like the future to help the HR team to really find the trends in the organization.
Okay.
What is my cost per new hire? What is my turnover? How do I reduce my turnover? What does it look like in 6 months from now? What if I give everybody a 5% increase? So we're using AI and our technology to help the HR department as well.
Okay. So very much in the reporting aspect of what's in the
custom
system.
reporting, but yeah, also predicting out the future.
Are you using it for automation for the end user?
So we are all about automation. So everything, all the integrations we have, whether it's the 401k integrations, the benefit carrier feeds, it's really saving the HR team time and also using AI in answering questions from the employees, like how many PTO days do I have? Just helping the HR team with
Right.
AI, and yeah, predicting the future.
Fantastic. How long has iSolve been around?
39 years.
39 years.
Yes.
Okay. Obviously, that predates AI and a bunch of other stuff. Were they always this type of business?
That's great you asked because some people know us as the Cobra administrator and Finisor, so that's where we really started.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so when Cobra came out in 1986, that's when we started. So we started doing the administration for the Cobra, all the compliance, and then we started building out the rest of the technology in the years after.
You know your stuff.
Thanks.
What do you like to do for fun?
Oh my goodness, I love concerts. I love
Really?
the summer. I love going on the boat, playing with my dog, with my kids. Yeah, that's my life.
All right. What type of music do you like?
So I like rock music
Okay.
and alternative. Yeah.
Very cool. What else should people know about iSolved or you? I specifically because I'm a firm believer that people like doing business with people that they like, especially when they get to know people. And this platform's very good, has been very good for getting personality across, right? It's, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's kind of like step one when people get involved in a business or a service to know all the things that, all the aspects of that and being able to rattle it off. And again, I can see that you know what you're talking about, and you're more than that. So what should people know about you and the company?
Like I said before, iSolve's been around for 39 years. We're really focused on compliance. So really to help the employer stay in compliance, whether it's just the payroll tax or maybe it's more. Maybe it's about, the leave administration and avoiding any litigation. We could really help them with the HR team. And then also having me as a resource. I've done this, about over 20 years. Oh my goodness, I've done this my whole life. So I've always been in the payroll field.
Okay.
So it's just
That's a big benefit.
something that
Wisdom.
I'm passionate about and helping others and answering my phone just like iSolve answers in 22 seconds. I answer my phone for every call. Hopefully it doesn't ring right now.
Is there anything maybe legal or some sort of compliance thing in New York State coming around the bend that small business owners should be aware of?
Oh, there's always something. So I definitely would love to have a conversation, maybe specific to the state because there's so much there in compliance, and we have the HR professionals to bring in to really guide our clients.
Okay, I had a feeling there's always something.
Yeah, there's 50
flux.
states of all different compliance coming out every month. So just to stay on top of it, it's always great to have that resource, whether you just want to call in or you want our HR team to really proactively help support and put those policies, procedures in place and, work in the system or even process your payroll for you. We have the team for that. It's called Managed Payroll.
Is there anything else you want to share that I didn't get to ask you about?
No, I think we covered all the great topics in HR and payroll.
Well, this was wonderful. Thank you so much for coming
Elliot.
by.
Thank you. Thanks.